Hey everybody, I have put a video together of my day. So today is Wednesday, January 29th, and on my schedule I had 2 training hikes and 2 regular hikes. So it's kind of a quiet day. I usually have anywhere between 5 and 6 outings and 10 dogs. Today I had 4 outings and 8 dogs, so it's a little bit of a slower day for me. And I need to be better about posting video just because I think that a lot of the stuff that happens out here is very valuable, but admittedly, sometimes it's just hard to film and I just go through my day without even thinking about it. But here I am letting loose the chains of self-consciousness and I'm putting it out there. So a couple things to keep in mind as you're watching this. There are different goals for every outing. So the first hike is with Sage. She's a 6-month-old puppy and it's our first outing together. So the goal is for her to just get used to me, get used to the vibes, get used to coming when called. But I'm not putting a lot of pressure on her. We're just getting to know each other, just walking together. The middle 2 hikes are just regular hikes. That's what I do. I'm a dog walker. So after I train up these dogs to be reliable off the leash, we go out and get our steps in. And my number 1 concern is safety. My number 2 concern is making sure the dogs are tired and that they are well exercised. So we go through a couple of different scenarios when I'm out there, dealt with a couple of different things. I think it was some useful footage. And then the 4th outing was another training hike. So that is with Knox. He is about a 1-year-old black lab and he's a little farther along than Sage is. So I am going to be holding him a little bit more accountable. That's the goal for our outing together. And he is just about at the point where I can start to bring him with other dogs. So yeah, I just thought it would be helpful for you to see what I'm doing, give you some ideas. I know a lot of stuff happens out here and I'm like, ugh, I really should have filmed that. But sometimes I'm scared to film and put it out there for everybody to see because I'm worried about being critiqued or maybe I said something the wrong way, but screw it. Here it is. I hope you get something from it and I hope you ask questions if you have them. Okay. I'm out here on my first hike of the day and it's also a training hike. So a training hike is when I work one-on-one with a dog to work towards that off-leash obedience. And I'm out here with Miss Sage. There she is. Good girl. And I just wanted to run down what the goal is and then what equipment I'm using and things that I am practicing when we're out here to work towards the goal. So because this is our very first hike together, my goal is just to get her used to the flow of this thing. Just get her used to walking around in the woods with me on a long line, hanging out with me, getting used to complying when I ask her to come when called, and I'm not really asking her for much. So I have an electric collar on Sage because she is going to be trained on the remote collar. I also have a flat buckle collar that I have the long line attached to. She's on a 30-foot line that I'm holding. Sage, come! Oh, what a dog. What a good girl. I have food that I'm using to reward the recall when she comes to me when called. I'm not using a clicker. Oh, shoot. I'm not using a clicker today because I'm carrying too many things in order to make that happen. And again, the goal is for her to just get used to this idea of hanging out with me in the woods. Whenever I do training hikes with dogs, I do them one-on-one for as long as it takes until I feel like I have a good relationship with that dog. And then once the dog is listening to me and they get used to following me and having a good time, but also checking in with me, that's when I'll start adding other dogs to the hike. So Sage lives with Olive. Olive is a dog that I walk 4 times a week in the woods. And that's going to be the first dog that I add to our hikes. So I'm going to spend a couple days with her this week, and then probably next week or the following, I'll add Olive to these hikes and continue on training. So that's the goal, reinforce the recall, and I'm doing that with the leash primarily because I'm holding it, and not so much via the remote collar. So I just want her to get used to that equipment for now. And if I do need to reinforce the recall, so let's say Sage does not come to me when I call her, I'm holding on to this line and I can apply a little bit of pressure and Sage will learn how to shut that pressure from the leash off. So regardless if we're using an electric collar or a leash, the concept to the dog is the same. Leah asked me for something. I'm going to feel this slight discomfort until I comply. And a dog needs to learn how to work through that pressure and that discomfort. And it doesn't matter what equipment you're using. It's all about holding the dog accountable to what you've asked them to do. So, first hike of the day, huge success. We're on our way back to the car, and I will continue filming. All right, I'm out here with 4 dogs. I got Callie, Leo, Olive, and Monty. And these dogs are just getting their steps in. I'm just hiking with them. The goal is for them to have a good time when they're out here, stay safe. And it's been a little challenging this morning, to be honest with you, because there are a lot of people out in the woods. And I've had a couple opportunities to film a little bit of how I handle when dogs are coming across the path, but sometimes it's hard for me to pull my phone out and do that. So if I do get the chance, I will. But yeah, equipment that I'm using, all 4 dogs are on the e-collar, the remote collar. I have this unit, and it can control all 4 receivers. This group is old faithfuls, so I don't really need to do much reinforcing. They listen really well, even when there are distractions. So there's just a lot to be said for a dog's age, and the older they get and the more successful repetitions that they have, you don't need to use the tools, right? And you're just out here having a good time with the dogs. So that's what it's all about today. So another thing to mention, I got 3 labs here, very high pack drive, right? They could be anywhere right now, but they're choosing to be quite close to me. And then we have Monty, also has a pretty high pack drive. If anything, Monty will lag behind the group a little bit, and I'll have to encourage him to keep coming along. But for the most part, these guys are running on autopilot out here. They're just having a great time. All right, good stuff. I'll see if I can film if we have to deal with a distraction, but I certainly am not going to go looking for one. All right, guys, come on. And this is why I hike friendly dogs. So I don't know whose golden retriever that is. Oh, I think she's back there. But yeah, they can all handle it. Olive, come on. Come on, Monty. But yeah, sometimes we get visitors, and you know, what are you gonna do? Good girl, Ollie. Good girl, honey. Yeah, so we're just stopping to give this lady a little bit of space, and we'll keep walking. And that happens all the time, you guys. I'm just walking around, minding my own business, and a friendly dog comes up, and the owner's a little bit out of sight. And what am I gonna do about that? Really, the only thing I can do about that is trust in the training and teach my dogs how to say a quick hello and then move along quickly. And I know it's easier said than done, and some of you may be hiking dogs that aren't so friendly, and you have to be a little bit more assertive with other owners out here. But that's why on my hikes with dogs that are my client dogs, I have to take friendly dogs out with me. But I will say that even dogs that are a little iffy with other dogs, they do much, much better when they are off the leash. So I do think that there's something to be said for allowing dogs to meet organically and just having the control to call them out of that interaction if you need to. So longer conversation, but yeah, I'm really proud of these dogs, especially Olive. She's got a little leash reactivity at home with mom and dad, so the fact that she's so neutral when she meets dogs out off the leash just says a lot about her neighborhood that she walks in, and it also says a lot about the restrictiveness of a leash. So, second hike of the day winding down, third hike of the day coming soon. Okay, not to overwhelm you, but this is sticky snow, but it's still freezing, and Monty, he's really struggling with his paws right now. So we are literally 5 minutes away from the car. I wouldn't want to be out for any longer today. He needs to melt that off of him in order to be comfortable again. Yeah, because he's like pulling out his fur. Come on. Good. So I'm going to keep him on the leash just to keep him moving. But you can see those saddlebags of snow there. Yeah, Got to get him back in the warm, melt those off. I don't try to pull those off. They'll melt in like just like 10 minutes in the car, or once he gets home, I'll throw him in the crate. But yeah, long-haired dogs, no, it hurts. All right, I am out here with Marley and Lila on third hike of the day. So the goal here is just to get some steps and exercise. I am their dog walker. They're on the schedule with me every Wednesday. Sometimes I walk these two together. Sometimes I mix it up a little bit, but I usually try to hike Marley with just one other dog because she had, hey, come on. She's eating something she shouldn't. So Marley had an ACL surgery. She's very reliable off the leash, but as you can see, I still have her dragging a short leash because that short leash just keeps her from doing crazy zoomies when we're out here. She gets super excited and runs around like a maniac. And I want to be careful that she doesn't hurt herself because she hurt herself before and it cost a big time surgery, long recovery, and you know, a hefty price tag. So easy peasy, if I put this line on her, it just keeps her from doing the zoomies. Now, I do let dogs have fun when they're out here with me. I don't want to be the fun sponge. But if they get into too much play, I will say enough. I will call them out of that play because it can hurt them. So not only could they hurt each other, but all of this stuff that's out in the woods, these sticks and rocks and stuff like that, they can be a little dangerous. And I have had dogs out here get hurt, and it's usually when they're running around. So I want them to have fun. I want them to be dogs, but I also want them to be safe. So for Marley, it starts with dragging this little line. It just keeps her from flying off the handle and acting too crazy. And she still does run around and have a good time. Lila is Old Faithful. Such a nice dog. Great dog. Yeah, this is the third hike of the day, just getting some steps in. So this is typical Marley play. And you can understand that if Lila were more engaged in that type of play, it could get out of control really quickly. And Lila could take it or leave it. Like, she's kind of into it, but not like crazy into it. And so that keeps the vibes pretty low. Like, Lila isn't really moving around a lot to engage with her. Marley's doing all of the work here. But I'll probably shut this down because you can see Marley's hackles are up. She's getting a little agitated. Marley, enough. Come. Good. Come. Come. Come on. Good girl. Nice job. Now I'll just let them chill for a sec before we get going again. But again, I hate being the fun sponge, but if it's too dangerous, I don't want them to get hurt. And we got company over there too. Nice job, guys. Come on, let's go. And there we go again. Yeah, I might have to shut it down a little bit harder. That's all right. That's all right. Yeah, somebody's up there because I can hear the dog tags. So I'm gonna get them on a leash and we're heading home. All right, here's Knox. Session number 4 of the day. We are playing together. So let's just watch this. Perfect. Okay, so I asked Knox to out. He did not out. I used a little bit of negative reinforcement from the e-collar in order to achieve the behavior. All done, and he gets paid. That was one of 2 times that I'll use the e-collar in this session. I'll tell you when. And we can see here, when I say all done, it creates a physically excited response in Knox. He knows that command really well, and he is so excited to play. He loves playing more than anything in the whole wide world. He's so excited here. And in this repetition, I am going to ask him not only to out the toy, but I'm also going to ask him to sit. And he really struggles with the impulse control because he has had absolutely no rules around the game. So I'm just going to walk us through this. So I ask him to sit, and then as I reach for that toy, he bounces out of the sit. So I'm using the leash to keep him in that sit. You can see that I'm not like using a ton of force there, but I'm just using it in my body to keep him in that sit. And in that last repetition, that was really, really cool because he went to pop out of the sit and then changed his mind and sat back down. And that's the repetition that I want to reward because he's starting to use his brain and put these pieces together, which is awesome to see. This next repetition is a little bit the same here. I'm going to ask him to sit, and he still is kind of struggling through that impulse control. And I'm just using the leash to reinforce the sit. That time I use the e-collar to reinforce the sit, and he gets paid. So I think that's the only 2 times I actually use the collar here in this video. Thought I would let you know. And this next repetition is really, really cool. So I ask him for that behavior. The behavior is fast. He shows absolutely no problems with impulse control, and I mark and reward that right away. Super. If you're still struggling with just getting your dog excited to play, if they're still learning the release command, just work on that. There's no need to add rules if your dog doesn't love the game, right? If we have a kid playing soccer and they don't really want to be there, it's pointless to try to teach them the rules. They got to like it first. And this repetition is awesome because he struggles with holding that sit when I reach down for that toy. And in that repetition, he held it there until I released him. That's awesome, awesome stuff. He's starting to put these pieces together and doing a really, really good job. All right, so I'm out with Knox. We just finished up a play session and we're walking around the field. The video is about 20 minutes long, so I'm just gonna take a couple of minutes out of that I think are useful. And we're just blowing off some steam here together in the field. But let's see. So I'm gonna explain a lot of what I'm doing, overdub the video, but with Knox, his play drive is so high, he loves to retrieve. So I can use that now to start asking him for more obedience, and I can use it to introduce the concept of no. Because if he does something like jump all over me after I ask him to out the toy, I can correct him for that. Let him know that, dude, I don't like what you're doing. And I am reinforcing the out command with the electric collar today. And he's with me for off-leash reliability and recall. Noxie, come. Good boy. Come. Good. Good boy. But it doesn't mean that I can't use the tool for other things. In fact, it becomes a lot more clear if I use the tool for other things. Because sometimes when we only use the e-collar for off-leash reliability, when the dog feels the stimulation on the e-collar, they just come over to us. They don't necessarily associate it with a command, which is not a bad thing. But the e-collar can be so much more useful if we start to use it appropriately. So I'm using the e-collar to reinforce the out, which he knows already. So if he doesn't out what's in his mouth, it's because he doesn't feel like it. And I'm going to add a little bit of pressure to reinforce that command. And then after I do ask him to out and he does it, I say all done and he gets paid. So out serves as just a little interruption of the game. It doesn't mean bad. It doesn't mean I'm going to take away the toy from him. It just means we're going to press pause, and then you're going to get another chance to be rewarded with that toy, which is pretty cool. So he's doing super. Again, he's a dog that I'm going to be adding to hikes. And so we just have to work on building up our bond, building up the obedience, working a lot on the long line, and taking some trail hikes, which is what I'm going to do with him right now. Just going to do a little loop in the woods before I head home. And that's a training session if I work one-on-one with a dog. I play with them and I do long line hikes in the woods. So that's what's up. Noxie, come. Hey, attaboy. Say hi to the people. Good boy. But he's doing super. I hope everybody has an awesome day. This is going to conclude my day of video. I am going to be taking Raven to the vet to get a distemper shot. And then I'm going to take her to rally practice after that to get a little bit of work in for her. So, cheers everyone. Hope you have a wonderful day.